I am once again filming at 1 o'clock in the morning, but this time I'm not crying. I'm stable this time. Hi everyone, it's Hayley. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my 30 seconds in and I already don't know how to talk. This is a new record. Today I'm doing the fantasy books that I want to read in 2021. These are all fantasy series. You'll see that some of them I actually wanted to read this year, but I didn't get to them. It's embarrassing. We're not going to talk about it. I saved those for the end. You can guess which ones are going to be. I'm sure you already know at this point. If you want to see a video on 2021 releases that I'm looking forward to, let me know. I'll do that. And then if you want to see something that's not fantasy related, if you want to see books I want to read in 2021, like contemporary or romance, let me know. I'm just doing fantasy because I read a lot of fantasy and these are the books that I've had on my list for a while. So let's begin. The first book that I have on this list is Raybearer by Riordan. This book is a story that is based on pre-colonial West Africa, but with a fantasy twist, which I love because for once a fantasy book is not set in medieval Europe. Don't we love to see it? Because I freaking do. I'm sick and tired of medieval Europe. I'm just sick and tired of just seeing white people all over these fantasy books. I just want to see black people for one. Raybearer follows Theresa, who must compete in this competition in order to become a guardian for the crown prince. Her mother figure, who is known as the Lady, she has told Theresa that she must kill the crown prince once she gains his trust. Theresa is conflicted because she obviously doesn't want to betray her mother figure or the Lady, but she also just doesn't want to be a pawn for someone else. A lot of people have recommended this book to me and I'm really sad I didn't get to it this year, but I'm sure it'll be fantastic for next year, so I'm really excited to read it. So the next book I have is Bonjour Daughter by Andrea Stewart. This book has been on my radar for a very long time. Editing Hayley popping in to say, I just found out that this book actually has a sapphic relationship in it, which is really exciting. I don't know how I didn't notice that. So I needed to pop in here and say that. Because I remember I was on Twitter one day and I was complaining because I was like, why are all these high fantasy books written by men and about men? I want more fantasy that is centered on women. Erin from Booked and Busy came through and she gave me this huge list of fantasy books with women and I was like, thank you so much. And this was one of them. And I've had my eye on it for so long. I literally was on the wait list in the library for like 16 weeks. Well, not 16 weeks, a very long time. It was a long time. This book follows Lynn, who is the daughter of the emperor, who has this bone shard magic that I believe their empire runs on. When the emperor refuses to recognize Lynn as his heir to the throne, Lynn decides to take it upon herself to prove her worth and master the bone shard magic. We love a strong woman. Like, okay, that already sounds amazing to me. Like this woman taking things into her own hands and fighting for her birthright. As a revolution breaks out, she has to make a decision on how far she's going to go to save her people and also prove her worth and her birthright. It just sounds amazing. The next book I have is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. This one I know everyone loves. Literally everyone I know who's read it has rated it like 5 stars. Like they all are in love with it. This is about this girl named Bree, and after her mother dies, she decides to leave home for this residential program for bright high schoolers at UNC Chapel Hill. And while she's there, she's like thinking, hey, this is a nice escape. Like maybe I made the right decision. And then she witnesses a magical attack on campus, literally on her first night there. She learns about this secret society of students that call themselves Legendborn. Basically, she discovers her own unique magical abilities through them. She finds out that there's a lot more to her mother's death than she previously realized, and she desperately wants to figure out the truth. So she kind of dives into the secret society and has to decide whether she wants to join them in the fight. It literally says join them in the fight. I'm not really sure what the fight is, but it says join them in the fight. Maybe I read the synopsis wrong. I don't know, but she needs to decide if she wants to join them or if she wants to take them down because they're a little suspicious. Really excited for this one because everyone has nothing but good things to say about it, so I'm believing it'll be a good one. Okay, so the next 2 books I'm awful at explaining, so please bear with me. The next book I have is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. The only thing I know is that there's this holy city of Tova and the winter solstice is supposed to be like this really special event, but on this day it coincides with a solar eclipse, which causes an unbalancing of the earth. It causes an unbalancing of the world. These 2 characters, Zayala and Serapio, arrive together. Zayala has these abilities and Serapio is supposed to be like, he's described as being this harmless man, but he's suspicious. I don't know how to describe it. I have so many questions from this synopsis alone that it makes me want to read the book even more. And everyone I know who's read it has loved it. Like even people that I would never expect to read a book like this, but I'm really excited and I want to know what it's about because I'm so desperate. The next book that I want to read is the David Bad trilogy. This is a series that I want to start and finish. This is book 1, City of Brass, the first book in the David Bad trilogy by S.A. Chakraborty. I have had this book for a very long time. Now that I have the audiobook, I think that I will be able to get into it. I heard it's kind of dense, so I definitely need the audiobook for that. This is an adult high fantasy, and it's about this con woman who accidentally summons a djinn. This djinn shows her this magical world of David Bad. She accidentally summons this djinn that tells her about this magical place called David Bad and the City of Brass. I believe it's supposed to be like kind of a fantasy version of like a Middle Eastern kingdom, and she goes there. I don't know much about this book, as you can tell. Listen, we've been through this before. I like to go into books blind, and I feel like fantasy books are always described so awfully. I feel like fantasy books are always described horribly, and the synopsis, I feel like it don't ever do them justice. Even if they're really interesting, sometimes I'll read the book and I'll be like, that synopsis was trash. Like, this book is amazing. That synopsis did not do the book justice. That's all I know about this book. I'm really excited. So many people have told me about it and have said it's amazing, and you guys know I love longer fantasy books with series. All of these books are on the longer side, and they are a part of series because I have attachment issues, and if I get attached to characters and I don't get enough of them, I get mad. You know what I mean? Like if you end a series, I get mad. I cry. Like as you can see in my November wrap up when I was crying because I was sad because I finished one of my favorite series. But anyway, the next book that I want to read is Legacy of Ash by Matthew Ward. Well, I guess. I didn't even know it was Matthew Ward, but I guessed and I got it right. I want to read this book because I heard that it has a lot of like political games and court politics. I love politics and fantasy. If you tell me that a book has politics and political games in it, I will snatch it up and I will read it immediately. Like that's all you need to tell me. And look at how thick this book is. I was convinced to read this book by Life is Monet. She was raving about this book for the longest time. The synopsis of this book is kind of strange. I don't know. Monet says it doesn't really do the book justice, and honestly, I haven't read the book, but I feel like as someone who hasn't read the book, that doesn't make me that interested in reading it. But I'll just tell you that it has a lot of political intrigue involved. When a war arises, 3 powers must come together to save their home and their people, even though they don't want to work together and they all hate each other. That's about what I get from the synopsis, but I honestly think that the synopsis probably doesn't do a good job. At least that's what Monet says, and honestly when I read it I was like, girl, I don't know what this is about. So I'm really excited to read this. This is also by a man, you guys. Like, are you shook or what? Now we're getting into the territory of books that I said that I wanted to read this year, and I'm not going to because I don't have any more time. First book on that list is The Rise of Kyoshi by F.C. Yee. Listen, I've had this book since like July, and I have been meaning to buddy read this with Cassidy. It's sapphic, and it's about Kyoshi training to be Avatar. You know I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love The Legend of Korra. I just want to read about Team Avatar again. Like I really am here for it, and just the fact that she is a bisexual protagonist. I'm so excited. I want to read this book so badly. I feel like I could tear through it, but I am waiting patiently so I don't dismantle buddy read before it even begins. The next book that I want to read is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. Yes, I did put this in my books I need to read before the end of the year video. I was so confident that I was going to read this book and another book that you will see later, but I don't know, things just went awry, meaning me having a breakdown and getting a terrible book hangover from books who shall not be named, but we know what they are. So These Violent Delights, if you don't know what it's about, which I'm not sure how you don't know what it's about because this book has been everywhere, like honestly, get with the program if you don't know what it is. But this is a Romeo and Juliet retelling as a historical fantasy set in 1920s Shanghai, and it deals with these rival gangs. If that's not enough to convince you to read it, then I don't know what the hell is. Rebel gangs that must work together to defeat a greater evil. Sounds amazing. Yet another fantasy book that is not set in medieval Europe, which we love to see. So the next book that I want to read is The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. I did put this on my books that I want to read before the end of 2020, and I obviously did not get to it. This is the last book in the Poppy War trilogy. If you don't know what the Poppy War trilogy is about, it's basically just about this girl named Rin who, in order to escape her abusive life back at home, she goes off to this prestigious military academy, and she basically is training to be in this oncoming war. It gets very intense, very quickly. Highly recommend that you check the trigger warnings because there's a lot of really graphic scenes in here. It's a historical fantasy, so it deals with real events that have happened in history. It's just so brilliantly written. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to spoil stuff, but I heard that this book really got people in the end. Like, I'd be seeing people crying, and I'm telling myself nothing can hurt me as much as Sky hurt me. There is nothing that can hurt me that much. So I think I'll be okay when I read it, but also, like, don't quote me. Like, don't hold me to this, because I'm also a very emotional, sensitive person, and I will probably cry. I cry over everything. I have read the first 2 books, The Poppy War and The Dragon Republic, and they are honestly so amazing. If you haven't read The Poppy War yet, get on it. The next book that I want to read is Jade War by Fonda Lee. This is the 2nd book in the Green Bones saga. The 3rd book, Jade Legacy, comes out next year, but if you say saga, does that mean that it's not a trilogy? Is there gonna be another book? Am I dumb? I should have researched this. I'm so sorry. I'm honestly the worst booktuber. Like, please, you should not expect better from me. But yeah, I read the first book, Jade City, a few months ago, and I really loved it. If you don't know what Jade City is about, it basically is described as being The Godfather with magic and kung fu, and it's really cool because it's like this urban fantasy for once again, not based in medieval Europe. It has these rival clans that draw power and almost these magical abilities from Jade Stone or Jade, whatever you want to call it. It's just really cool. I especially really love Jade City because it dealt with really intense familial connections as well as successions and power dynamics. And I feel like a lot of fantasy novels have family in them, but families are usually broken up, and really just there's just a whole lot of damage that goes along with, and trust me, there's family drama in here, but I feel like family is so important to these characters that it's like family or nothing, you know? The clans are based on family, and so they're very, very dedicated to their families, and I love that the families work together rather than against each other, because we see that so much in fantasy, but in this series, family is everything. How many times did I say family? Because it felt like a million times. What's a synonym for family? Let me know in the comments down below. So yeah, Jade War is a sequel, and I've been spoiled for a couple of things that happen in this book, and I'm really excited to see how they're gonna play out because things are getting crazy. My favorite character, if you want to know, is Shay. Anyway, don't be surprised when I say this because I just went on a whole spiel about this, but there's a lot of politics involved, and you know I love politics, so this is the book for me. Okay, so the last books that I want to read may come as a surprise for you, because in my anti-TBR video, I said I don't want to read Riordan books, but I'm going to be reading his books. You want to know the real story on why I decided I'm going to finish the Percy Jackson series as well as the Heroes of Olympus? It's kind of embarrassing, but basically what happened was I was on Instagram and I saw this edit. It was like the most beautiful edit I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, I want to read this. So now I'm going to read it. And now I'm going to finish the Percy Jackson series because the only book I didn't read in the series was the last one, the 5th book. Don't even know what it's called. I'm sorry. I'm not even going to try. I don't know what it's called. And then Miriam told me that I also have to read the Heroes of Olympus because the edit actually had stuff from the Heroes of Olympus. So I'm going to be reading those books. I have them. I'm not pulling them out. I'm sorry. I don't want to. Yeah, I'm excited for this 2021 TBR so far. If you made it this far in the video, leave a heart emoji. I love heart emojis. Do you love heart emojis? I do. I hope this list helped you maybe start thinking about your TBR for 2021. Let me know down below what books that you're planning on reading for 2021. And then also let me know if you want to read any of these books. I'm sorry, it's literally past 1 a.m. I don't know what I'm doing. Also, a lot of people asked me for an annotations video. Well, I asked you guys if you want an annotations video, and a lot of people said yes. I don't know when that video is going to come. I kind of have to reevaluate my annotation style, but I promise you it'll come very, very soon. I promise you. Remember when I promised a book haul in October and I never did it? I'm sorry, I got scared. Yeah, anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to comment, like this video. I'm gonna say it. I hate being a booktuber. I can't do it anymore. It's too hard. Darcy, please help me. She's staring at me, actually. She got up off of her bed and now she's staring at me. She's like, are you okay? My human is glitching. Remember to like this video, leave a comment down below, and subscribe. And I will see you next week with another video. Bye.